family gathering was in full swing, with the city's elite mingling and chatting. But Veronica's attention was solely on the couple. She watched as Ryan's hand rested comfortably on the small of Zara's back, their laughter echoing across the room. It was a sight that made Veronica's blood boil. Leaning towards her longtime friend and confidant, Margaret, Veronica muttered, "Look at them. It's absolutely deplorable. After all I've done to secure our family's position, Ryan chooses to throw it all away on this girl." Her voice dripped with contempt as she spat out the last word. Margaret, ever the loyal friend, nodded in agreement. "It's a phase, darling. He'll come to his senses soon enough." But Veronica wasn't convinced. She had worked too hard, climbed too many social ladders to let her son's poor judgment undo everything. As she contemplated her next move, Ryan caught her eye from across the room. He must have sensed her disapproval because he excused himself from Zara and made his way over to his mother. "Mom," Ryan began, his voice low and pleading, "I know you're not happy about Zara and me, but if you'd just give her a chance." Veronica cut him off with a sharp wave of her hand. "Ryan, darling, let's not have this conversation here. You know very well what's expected of you. Our family has a legacy to uphold, connections to maintain. Your little dalliance is putting all of that at risk." Ryan's face hardened. "It's not a dalliance, Mom. I love her. Why can't you see that?" But Veronica wasn't listening. She was already scanning the room, making mental notes of who had witnessed their exchange. Damage control would be necessary. "We'll discuss this later," she said dismissively, before turning her attention to an approaching business associate. Left standing alone, Ryan's shoulders slumped in defeat. He knew this battle was far from over, but he also knew he couldn't give up on Zara. With a heavy heart, he returned to his girlfriend's side. Zara had been watching the exchange from afar, and the moment Ryan returned, she could sense something was wrong. "What happened?" she asked, her voice laced with concern. Ryan sighed, running a hand through his hair. "The usual. Mom being, well, Mom. She doesn't understand us, Zara. She can't see past her own prejudices." Zara's face fell. She had hoped that with time, Veronica would come to accept her, but it seemed that the matriarch's resolve was only growing stronger. Maybe this isn't worth it, Ryan. I don't want to come between you and your family." Ryan's eyes widened in alarm. "No, Zara, don't say that. You're worth everything to me. We'll figure this out, I promise." As they spoke, Veronica watched them from across the room, her lips pursed in disapproval. She had no idea that Zara was more than just a girl from the wrong side of the tracks. The young woman harbored a secret that would soon turn Veronica's world upside down. Later that evening, after the guests had departed and the Chase mansion had fallen quiet, Zara sat alone in her modest apartment across town. The events of the night played over and over in her mind. The whispers, the sidelong glances, and most of all, Veronica's blatant disapproval. She stood up and walked to her window, gazing out at the city lights. Zara had always known that dating Ryan would come with challenges, but she hadn't anticipated the level of hostility she'd face from his mother. It was disheartening, to say the least. But as she stood there, watching the bustling city below, a fire began to burn within her. She thought of her own family, of the struggles they had overcome, of the fortune they had built from nothing. Zara might not have been born into the same world as the Chases, but she was no less worthy of respect and acceptance. With newfound determination, Zara made a decision. She wouldn't let Veronica Chase's elitism and prejudice defeat her. She would stand tall, proud of who she was and where she came from. And if it came down to it, she would reveal her own family's success story. But for now, she would bide her time, gathering strength for the confrontation that was sure to come. The annual Fashion Forward Gala, one of New York's most prestigious events, was in full swing. The city's elite had gathered to celebrate innovation in the fashion industry, and at the center of it all stood Veronica Chase. She took the stage, her designer gown shimmering under the spotlights, and addressed the crowd with practiced charm. "Ladies and gentlemen," Veronica began, her voice carrying across the hushed room, "fashion is not just about clothes. It's about representation, about giving voice to diverse perspectives." She paused for effect, surveying the sea of faces before her. "That's why Chase Designs is committed to fostering inclusivity in our industry. We believe in a future where fashion knows no boundaries of race, class, or background." The audience applauded enthusiastically, many nodding in agreement. Veronica basked in their approval, her smile never wavering. As she stepped off the stage, she was immediately surrounded by admirers and business associates, all eager to praise her progressive stance. However, as the night wore on and the champagne flowed freely, Veronica's true colors began to show. In a quieter corner of the venue, she huddled with a group of longtime friends and collaborators, her mask of inclusivity slipping. "Can you believe the nerve of some people?" she said, her voice low but sharp. "Did you see that girl Ryan brought? Zara, or whatever her name is. Dressed in last season's knockoff, trying to pass herself off as one of us." Her companions murmured in agreement, some casting furtive glances towards Zara, who stood across the room, deep in conversation with Ryan. "It's a shame, really," continued Veronica, swirling her champagne. "Ryan had such potential. He could have had his pick of suitable partners, but instead, he insists on slumming it with that girl. It's embarrassing, quite frankly." Unknown to Veronica, Ryan had approached the group, intending to introduce Zara properly to his mother's circle. He froze just out of sight, his mother's words hitting him like a physical blow. As Veronica continued her tirade, Ryan felt a surge of conflicting emotions. On one hand, he was furious at his mother's blatant prejudice and cruelty. On the other, a small part of him couldn't help but wonder if there was any truth to her words. Would choosing Zara mean giving up the world he'd grown up in? The connections, the opportunities, the lifestyle he'd always known. He glanced across the room at Zara, watching as she laughed with some new acquaintances. She looked beautiful, confident, and entirely at ease, a stark contrast to the crude caricature his mother was painting. Yet he couldn't shake the nagging doubt that had taken root. Quietly, Ryan slipped away from his mother's group, his mind a whirlwind of confusion and guilt. He needed air, space to think. As he made his way towards the balcony, he bumped into Alex, his best friend since childhood. Alex, noticing Ryan's distress, followed him outside. "Hey, what's going on? You look like you've seen a ghost." Ryan leaned against the railing, his knuckles white as he gripped the metal. "I overheard my mother talking about Zara. The things she was saying, Alex, they were horrible." Alex's face darkened. "Your mom's always been a piece of work, but this is low, even for her." "The worst part is," Ryan continued, his voice barely above a whisper, "for a moment, I actually considered if she might be right. What if being with Zara means losing everything I've ever known?" Alex looked at his friend for a long moment before speaking. "Ryan, man, listen to yourself. Are you really willing to give up on love because of what some stuck-up socialites might think? The Zara I know is worth 100 of them." Inside, Zara had noticed Ryan's absence and was searching for him. She spotted Alex on the balcony and made her way over, unaware of the conversation that had just taken place. "There you are," she said, smiling as she approached. "I was beginning to think you'd abandoned me to the wolves." Ryan forced a smile, guilt gnawing at him. "Never," he said, pulling her close. Alex watched the couple, then made a decision. "Zara, can I borrow you for a sec? There's someone I want you to meet." As Alex led Zara away, he leaned in close. Look, I know Veronica's been giving you a hard time, but don't let her get to you. You're amazing, and Ryan's lucky to have you. Just be yourself, and eventually, they'll see what we all see." Zara felt a surge of gratitude for Alex's support. "Thanks, Alex. Sometimes I wonder if I'm fighting a losing battle here." "Trust me," Alex replied, his eyes serious. "You're stronger than you know. And when the time comes, you'll show them all exactly who Zara is." As they rejoined the party, Zara felt a renewed sense of determination. She might not have Veronica's approval, but she had something far more valuable: her own strength and the support of those who truly mattered. The confrontation with Veronica was coming, and Zara was ready to face it head-on. The day of the highly anticipated charity gala had arrived. In her modest apartment, Zara stood before her full-length mirror, carefully applying the finishing touches to her makeup. This wasn't just another social event. It was the night she had decided to confront Veronica Chase and put an end to the constant belittlement and prejudice. As she smoothed down her dress, a stunning creation she had designed herself, Zara's mind wandered to her childhood. Growing up, she had faced numerous challenges. Her parents, both immigrants, had worked tirelessly to provide for their family. They had instilled in Zara a strong work ethic and an unwavering belief in herself. Zara remembered the countless nights her father spent poring over business plans and her mother's determination as she balanced multiple jobs while pursuing her degree. Their hard work had paid off, culminating in a successful family business that had made them millionaires. However, they had chosen to keep their wealth private, wanting their children to understand the value of hard work and humility. These memories strengthened Zara's resolve. She had earned her place in the world through talent and perseverance, not through inherited privilege. Tonight, she would make Veronica Chase understand that worth wasn't determined by last names or bank accounts. Across town, in her luxurious penthouse, Veronica Chase was also preparing for the gala. A team of stylists fussed around her, ensuring every detail was perfect. Her hair was being styled into an elegant updo, while a makeup artist meticulously applied her foundation. "Make sure to conceal those fine lines," Veronica instructed sharply, her eyes critically assessing her reflection. "I want to look flawless tonight." As her team worked, Veronica's mind was busy plotting. She had heard rumors that Zara would be attending the gala, and she was determined to put the girl in her place, once and for all. In Veronica's mind, she was protecting her son and her family's legacy from an opportunistic outsider. "Bring me the Cartier necklace," she commanded one of her assistants. "I want everyone to remember who rules this social circle." Yet beneath her commanding exterior, insecurities gnawed at Veronica. She was acutely aware of the whispers about her age, the young up-and-comers in the fashion industry nipping at her heels. Zara's youth and beauty were a stark reminder of her own fading relevance. But Veronica pushed these thoughts aside. She was Veronica Chase, and she would not be unseated by some young upstart. Meanwhile, Ryan was in his own apartment, adjusting his bow tie with shaky hands. He had been dreading this night, knowing that a confrontation between his mother and Zara was inevitable. He loved Zara deeply, but years of conditioning under his mother's strong personality made him fear the impending conflict. His phone buzzed with a message from Zara. "On my way. Remember, whatever happens tonight, I love you." Ryan smiled at the message, feeling a surge of warmth and courage. He typed back a quick, "I love you too, see you soon," before pocketing his phone and heading out. As Ryan's car pulled up to the venue, he spotted Zara arriving. She looked stunning in her self-designed gown, exuding confidence and grace. For a moment, all his worries melted away, replaced by a sense of pride and love. "You look incredible," he said, greeting her with a kiss. Zara smiled, but Ryan could see the determination in her eyes. "Thanks. Are you ready for this?" Ryan hesitated. Zara, maybe we should just try to avoid any confrontation tonight. We could just enjoy the gala and... No, Ryan. Zara cut him off gently but firmly. We can't keep avoiding this. Your mother needs to understand that I'm not going anywhere and that her behavior is unacceptable. Ryan nodded, knowing she was right but still apprehensive. What are you planning to do? I'm going to be myself, Zara replied. My true self. No more hiding or downplaying who I am to make others comfortable. It's time Veronica Chase sees me for who I really am. As they walked towards the entrance, Ryan felt a mix of anxiety and admiration. He knew Zara was right, but he also knew his mother. This confrontation could change everything. Inside, the gala was in full swing. The city's elite mingled, sipping champagne and engaging in polite conversation. Veronica held court near the center of the room, surrounded by sycophants and social climbers. As Zara and Ryan entered, a hush fell over the nearest groups. Veronica, alerted by the sudden quiet, turned to see the couple. Her eyes narrowed as she took in Zara's appearance. For a moment, the two women locked eyes across the room. Veronica's gaze was cold and challenging, while Zara's burned with quiet determination. The battle lines were drawn. Zara squeezed Ryan's hand. It's time, she said softly. As they made their way across the room, the other guests parted, sensing the impending drama. Veronica straightened her spine, preparing for the confrontation. Little did she know, her world was about to be turned upside down by the very woman she had dismissed for so long. The charity gala was a sea of designer gowns and tailored suits, the air thick with the scent of expensive perfumes and the low hum of elite conversation. As Zara made her entrance with Ryan by her side, heads turned and whispers erupted throughout the crowd. Zara's gown, a stunning creation of her own design, hugged her curves perfectly. The deep burgundy color complemented her skin tone, and the intricate beadwork caught the light with every movement. She walked with purpose, her head held high, exuding a confidence that made even the most seasoned socialites take notice. Who is that with Ryan Chase? One guest whispered to another. That's the girl Veronica's been complaining about, came the hushed reply. But I must say, she looks quite remarkable tonight. As they made their way through the crowd, Zara could feel Veronica's eyes on her. The matriarch stood across the room, her face a mask of disdain, barely hidden behind a forced smile. Veronica's grip on her champagne flute tightened as she watched her son and Zara approach. Ryan, darling, Veronica called out, her voice sickly sweet. I'm so glad you could make it. Her eyes slid over to Zara, giving her a cold once-over. And you brought a guest. Zara met Veronica's gaze steadily. Good evening, Mrs. Chase. It's a pleasure to see you again. Veronica's smile didn't reach her eyes. Indeed. Well, do enjoy the party. I must attend to the other guests. With that, she turned on her heel and walked away, leaving Ryan and Zara standing there. As the night progressed, Zara mingled with the other guests, her natural charm and intelligence shining through. She engaged in conversations about art, business, and philanthropy, impressing many with her knowledge and insights. Ryan watched proudly as his girlfriend held her own among New York's elite. However, not everyone was as impressed. Veronica, from her vantage point across the room, watched the interactions with growing irritation. She couldn't understand how this girl, whom she considered so beneath them, was managing to win over some of her peers. The breaking point came when Zara found herself in conversation with Harold Vanderbilt, one of the city's most influential businessmen and a longtime friend of the Chase family. You know, young lady, Harold said, his eyes twinkling with interest, I couldn't help but overhear your discussion about sustainable fashion. Your ideas are quite innovative. Have you considered seeking investors for your designs? Before Zara could respond, another guest chimed in. Oh, Harold, haven't you heard? This young woman comes from quite the affluent family herself. I heard her father's company is worth millions." Veronica, who had been eavesdropping nearby, couldn't contain herself any longer. She let out a sharp, derisive laugh that drew the attention of those around her. "Oh, please," she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Let's not entertain such ridiculous notions. I think we all know that if this girl had any real money or connections, we'd have heard about it long before now." The group fell silent, tension thick in the air. Zara felt all eyes on her, waiting to see how she would respond to this blatant dismissal. For a moment, Zara considered letting it go, not wanting to cause a scene. But then she remembered why she was here tonight. She was done hiding who she truly was. "Actually, Mrs. Chase," Zara said, her voice calm but firm, "there's a lot you don't know about me or my family. Perhaps it's time we had an honest conversation." Veronica's eyes narrowed. "I'm not sure what game you're playing at, but—" "No games, Mrs. Chase," Zara interrupted. "Just the truth. And the truth is, my family's success doesn't define who I am. But since you seem so concerned about status and wealth, perhaps we should discuss it." The onlookers watched with bated breath as Zara took a step towards Veronica. The younger woman's composure was a stark contrast to Veronica's barely contained anger. "My father built his company from the ground up," Zara continued. "He taught me the value of hard work, integrity, and treating people with respect, regardless of their background. These are lessons that seem to have eluded you, Mrs. Chase." Veronica's face flushed red with anger and embarrassment. She opened her mouth to retort, but Zara pressed on. "I've kept quiet about my family's success because I wanted to make my own way in the world. I wanted to be loved and respected for who I am, not for my family's bank account. But if financial status is all that matters to you, then yes, Mrs. Chase, my family is quite wealthy, probably more so than you realize." A murmur ran through the crowd. Veronica stood there, speechless for perhaps the first time in her life. Ryan, who had been watching from nearby, stepped forward to stand beside Zara, taking her hand in a show of support. The confrontation had begun, and there was no turning back now. Zara had thrown down the gauntlet, challenging not just Veronica's prejudices, but the very foundations of the social hierarchy she held so dear. As the other guests watched in fascinated silence, it was clear that this night would change everything. The tension in the room was palpable as Zara and Veronica faced each other, the crowd of New York's elite forming a loose circle around them. The soft music and clinking of champagne glasses faded into the background as all attention focused on the unfolding drama. Veronica, momentarily stunned by Zara's revelation, quickly regained her composure. Her eyes narrowed as she regarded the younger woman with a mixture of disbelief and disdain. Well, Veronica said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Isn't this a convenient time for you to suddenly reveal your supposed wealth? I find it hard to believe that someone of true means would have hidden it for so long. What's your game here, girl?" Zara stood her ground, unflinching under Veronica's hostile gaze. "This isn't a game, Mrs. Chase. I've never flaunted my family's wealth because I believe a person's worth isn't determined by their bank account. I wanted to make my own way in the world, to be judged on my own merits." She paused, looking around at the gathered crowd before continuing. "My father started with nothing. He built his company through hard work, innovation, and treating people with respect, all people, regardless of their background. Our family's net worth is now over 500 million, but we've chosen to live modestly and focus on giving back to our community." A collective gasp rippled through the audience. Even Veronica couldn't hide her shock at the figure Zara had just casually dropped. Ryan, standing beside Zara, squeezed her hand supportively. He had known about Zara's family wealth for some time, but had respected her wish to keep it private. Now, seeing her stand up to his mother, he felt a surge of pride and love. Veronica, however, was not ready to concede. 500 million? She scoffed. And yet you've been gallivanting around with my son, worming your way into our world. What's your endgame here? To marry into the Chase family and elevate your status even further?" Zara's eyes flashed with anger. "Mrs. Chase, I love your son for who he is, not for his last name or his trust fund. I don't need to elevate my status. I'm proud of who I am and where I come from. The question is, can you say the same?" The crowd murmured, many nodding in agreement with Zara's words. Veronica's face flushed red, realizing she was losing control of the narrative. "You have no idea what it takes to maintain a position in this society," Veronica hissed. "The sacrifices, the expectations." "You're right," Zara interrupted. "I don't know about maintaining a position in a society that values appearance over substance, that judges people based on their last name rather than their character. And frankly, I don't want to know. What I do know is that love, compassion, and integrity are values that transcend social classes." She turned to address the crowd directly. "I've kept quiet about my background because I wanted to be accepted for who I am, not what I have. But I realize now that by hiding part of myself, I was inadvertently playing into the very system I disagree with. So let me be clear. I, Zara Williams, am proud of my family, our accomplishments, and our values. And I'm proud to stand here with Ryan, not because he's a Chase, but because he's a kind, intelligent, and loving man who sees me for who I truly am." The silence that followed was deafening. Many in the crowd looked thoughtful. Some even appeared slightly ashamed. Ryan's face beamed with pride and affection as he looked at Zara. Veronica, however, was not ready to back down. "This changes nothing," she declared, her voice shaking slightly. "You still don't belong here. You don't understand our world, our traditions." "Mom, stop," Ryan interjected, his voice firm. It was the first time he had spoken since the confrontation began. "Zara belongs wherever she chooses to be, and I choose to be with her. Your traditions of exclusion and prejudice have no place in the world we want to build together." Veronica's eyes widened in shock at her son's defiance. She opened her mouth to respond, but before she could, another voice cut through the tension. "I think we've all heard enough," came the authoritative voice of Harold Vanderbilt. The elderly businessman stepped forward, his eyes twinkling with a mix of amusement and admiration. "Veronica, my dear, I believe it's time we all took a good, hard look at the values we claim to uphold in our elite circle. This young woman has shown more grace, integrity, and true class tonight than I've seen in a long time." He turned to Zara and Ryan. "You two give me hope for the future. Don't let anyone dim your light." As Harold's words sank in, the atmosphere in the room began to shift. The confrontation had exposed not just Veronica's prejudices, but the shallow nature of the social hierarchy they had all been perpetuating. It was clear that change was in the air, and Zara and Ryan were at the forefront of it. As Harold Vanderbilt's words hung in the air, Veronica Chase found herself in an unfamiliar position. On the defensive, her carefully cultivated image of the powerful, untouchable matriarch was crumbling before her eyes. She glanced around the room, searching for allies among the sea of faces she had long considered her loyal subjects in the social hierarchy. "This is preposterous," Veronica sputtered, her composure slipping. "You can't possibly be taking her side in this, Harold. What about our traditions, our way of life?" Harold shook his head slowly. "Times change, Veronica. Perhaps it's time our traditions change too." Sensing her mother's increasing desperation, a small group of Veronica's closest friends moved to surround her, forming a protective circle. Patricia Astor, Veronica's longtime confidant, spoke up. Now, let's not be hasty," Patricia said, her voice sickly sweet. "Veronica has always had the best interests of our community at heart. Surely we can't discount years of dedicated service over one misunderstanding." Zara, still standing tall, despite the mounting tension, addressed Patricia directly. "With all due respect, Mrs. Astor, this isn't a misunderstanding. This is about recognizing the inherent worth of all individuals, regardless of their background or bank account." As Zara spoke, the crowd's attention was drawn to a commotion near the entrance of the ballroom. Alex, Ryan's best friend, had arrived, slightly out of breath, as if he had rushed to get there. "Sorry I'm late," Alex announced, his eyes quickly finding Ryan and Zara. "Traffic was a nightmare. Did I miss anything?" Ryan couldn't help but chuckle at his friend's timing. "Oh, just a little family disagreement," he said, the sarcasm evident in his voice. Alex took in the scene, Zara and Ryan standing united, Veronica and her circle looking flustered, and the rest of the guests watching with rapt attention. He quickly pieced together what had transpired. "Well, since we're airing everything out," Alex said, stepping forward, "I think it's time I shared something too." He turned to address the crowd. "Many of you know me as Alexander Worthington IV, heir to the Worthington fortune. What you might not know is that I was adopted." A collective gasp rippled through the room. Alex continued, his voice steady. "My biological parents were immigrants who worked as janitors in my adoptive parents' office building. They couldn't afford to keep me, but they wanted me to have opportunities they never had. The Worthingtons gave me those opportunities, but they also taught me to never forget where I came from." Alex moved to stand beside Zara and Ryan. "So you see, Mrs. Chase, the lines between your world and the one you look down upon are not as clear as you might think. We are all human, all deserving of respect and dignity." The room fell silent as Alex's words sank in. Many of the guests looked thoughtful. Some even appeared moved by his story. Veronica, however, was not ready to concede defeat. "This is absurd," she said, her voice shrill. "You can't possibly expect us to upend generations of social order based on a few sob stories and misguided idealism." But as Veronica looked around the room, she realized that her words were no longer carrying the weight they once did. The crowd was divided, some nodding in agreement with her, others looking uncomfortable or outright disapproving. One of the younger socialites, Emily Sinclair, stepped forward. "Mrs. Chase, I've always admired you, but I have to say, I agree with Zara and Alex. Our society needs to evolve. We can't keep clinging to outdated prejudices." Veronica's face paled as she watched one of her most promising protégés side against her. The ground beneath her feet felt increasingly unsteady. Ryan, seeing his mother's distress, felt a pang of empathy despite everything. He knew how much his mother valued her position in society, how hard she had worked to maintain it. But he also knew that it was time for change. "Mom," he said gently, "this doesn't have to be the end of everything you've built. It can be a new beginning, a chance to use your influence for real positive change." Zara nodded in agreement. "Mrs. Chase, your business acumen and social connections could do so much good if directed towards more inclusive causes. Imagine the impact you could have." For a moment, a flicker of uncertainty crossed Veronica's face. But then, as if remembering herself, she straightened her spine and fixed Zara with a cold stare. "You think you've won, don't you?" Veronica said, her voice low and dangerous. "You think you can waltz in here, spout some pretty words about equality, and turn everyone against me? Well, let me tell you something, girl. I've weathered far worse storms than this. This isn't over." With that, Veronica turned on her heel and stormed out of the ballroom, her small circle of loyal friends trailing behind her. The remaining guests burst into excited chatter. The gala transformed into a hotbed of gossip and debate. As the dust settled, Ryan pulled Zara close. "You were amazing," he whispered. "I'm so proud of you." Zara smiled, but her eyes were thoughtful. "This is just the beginning," she said. "Your mother won't give up easily. We've got a long road ahead of us." Alex clapped them both on the shoulder. Well, whatever comes next, you've got me in your corner. As the three of them stood together, surrounded by a room full of New York's elite, buzzing with the winds of change, they knew that this night had irrevocably altered the landscape of their world. The battle lines had been drawn, and the fight for a more inclusive society had only just begun. In the wake of Veronica's dramatic exit, the charity gala descended into a flurry of animated discussions. The once unified front of New York's elite had fractured, with groups forming to debate the night's events. Ryan stood at the center of it all, his mind reeling from the confrontation between his mother and Zara. As he observed the room, Ryan couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. Pride in Zara's strength and grace under pressure warred with concern for his mother and uncertainty about the future. He had always known this moment would come, but he hadn't anticipated the scale of the fallout. "Ryan," a voice called out, pulling him from his thoughts. It was Harold Vanderbilt, approaching with a gentle smile. "Your young lady has certainly stirred things up tonight." Ryan nodded, unsure of how to respond. Harold continued, his voice low and kind. "You know, my boy, change is never easy, but it's often necessary. Your mother, she's built her world on certain principles. It won't be easy for her to let go." "I know," Ryan replied, his voice heavy with understanding. "I just wish she could see Zara the way I do." Meanwhile, across the room, Zara found herself surrounded by a group of younger socialites, all eager to hear more about her background and her views. "I can't believe you kept your family's success a secret for so long," Emily Sinclair said, her eyes wide with admiration. "That must have been so difficult." Zara smiled, but there was a hint of sadness in her eyes. "It wasn't always easy," she admitted. "There were times I wanted to speak up, to defend myself against the assumptions people made. But I wanted to prove myself on my own merits, not my family's wealth." She paused, looking around at the attentive faces. "You know, money doesn't define who we are. It's our actions, our values, the way we treat others. That's what really matters." As Zara spoke, her words resonated with many in the group. Some nodded in agreement, while others looked thoughtful, as if considering these ideas for the first time. "But what about tradition?" one young man asked, his brow furrowed. "Our families have built this society over generations. Isn't there value in preserving that?" Zara considered the question carefully before responding. "Tradition can be valuable," she said. "It gives us a sense of identity and continuity, but it shouldn't be used as an excuse to exclude others or perpetuate harmful prejudices. We can honor our past while still moving forward and becoming more inclusive." As the conversation continued, Ryan watched from afar, his heart swelling with pride and love. Zara's ability to articulate her views with such clarity and compassion was one of the many reasons he had fallen in love with her. However, not everyone was as receptive to Zara's message. A small group of Veronica's staunchest supporters huddled in a corner, their faces etched with disapproval. "This is a disaster," Patricia Astor hissed to her companions. "If we let this girl's ideas take hold, everything we've built could crumble." "We need to do something," another woman agreed. "Veronica has always protected our interests. We can't abandon her now." As the night wore on, the divisions in the room became increasingly apparent. While many, especially the younger generation, seemed energized by the prospect of change, others clung desperately to the old ways. Alex, observing the various reactions, made his way over to Ryan and Zara. "Well, you two certainly know how to liven up a party," he said with a wry smile. Zara laughed, but there was a hint of worry in her eyes. "I never meant to cause such a stir," she said. "I just couldn't stay silent any longer." Ryan wrapped an arm around her waist, pulling her close. "You did the right thing," he assured her. "It's about time someone challenged the status quo." Alex nodded in agreement. Absolutely, but don't think for a second that this is over. Veronica won't take this lying down, and she still has plenty of supporters. As if on cue, they noticed Patricia Astor and her group leaving the gala, their faces set in grim determination. It was clear they were going to regroup and plan their next move. Ryan sighed, running a hand through his hair. You're right. This is just the beginning of a much bigger battle. Zara squared her shoulders, her resolve evident in her stance. Then we'll face it together. We have truth and compassion on our side. That has to count for something. As the gala began to wind down, the three friends found themselves standing on the balcony, overlooking the glittering New York skyline. The city seemed to stretch out endlessly before them, a metaphor for the challenging but potentially rewarding path ahead. Whatever comes next, Ryan said, his voice firm with determination. We're changing things. For the better. Zara and Alex nodded in agreement. As they stood there, united in their resolve, they knew that the events of this night had set in motion a chain of events that would reshape their world. The fight for a more inclusive, compassionate society had begun, and they were at the forefront of it. The cool night air carried with it a sense of possibility, of a future yet to be written. As they looked out over the city they called home, Zara, Ryan, and Alex silently vowed to be the change they wanted to see in their world, no matter the obstacles that lay ahead. As the charity gala began to wind down, the buzz of conversation was still dominated by the evening's dramatic events. Guests were slowly filtering out, many still engaged in heated discussions about class, wealth, and social change. Amidst this charged atmosphere, an unexpected development was about to unfold. George Harrington, a distinguished older gentleman who had been observing the night's events with keen interest, made his way through the thinning crowd towards Zara, Ryan, and Alex. George was a longtime friend of the Chase family, known for his sharp business acumen and vast network of connections. "Excuse me," George said, his voice carrying the weight of authority that comes with years of experience. "I couldn't help but overhear the commotion earlier. Miss Williams, might I have a word with you?" Zara exchanged a quick glance with Ryan before nodding. "Of course, Mr. Harrington." George led them to a quieter corner of the room, his expression serious. "I've known the Chase family for decades," he began, "and I've watched how this society operates. What you did tonight, standing up to Veronica, that took real courage." Zara remained silent, unsure of where this conversation was heading. George continued, "But more than that, I know the truth about your family's wealth. You see, your father and I crossed paths years ago when he was just starting out. I remember being impressed by his drive and integrity." Ryan's eyes widened in surprise. "You knew about Zara's family all along?" George nodded, a small smile playing on his lips. "I did. And I've been waiting for someone to challenge the status quo in this stagnant social circle for years. Zara, you might just be the catalyst we need." The older man's words hung in the air, their implications slowly sinking in. Here was a respected member of their social circle, openly supporting Zara's stance. "Mr. Harrington," Zara began, her voice steady, "I appreciate your support, but I'm not sure I understand. What exactly are you saying?" George's eyes twinkled with a mix of wisdom and mischief. "I'm saying, my dear, that you're not alone in your desire for change. There are many of us, myself included, who have grown tired of the old ways. We've been waiting for the right moment, the right person, to lead the charge." He paused, looking around to ensure they weren't being overheard. "Veronica's influence is strong, but it's not absolute. With the right backing, we could start to make real changes in how this society operates." Ryan, who had been listening intently, spoke up. "Are you offering to help us, Mr. Harrington?" The older man nodded. "I am. And not just me. There are others who feel the same way. We've been silent for too long, afraid of rocking the boat. But after tonight, Well, let's just say you've inspired quite a few people to reconsider their positions." As George spoke, the enormity of what he was suggesting began to dawn on Zara and Ryan. This wasn't just about their personal struggle against Veronica's prejudices anymore. It was about potentially reshaping the entire social structure they had grown up in. "It won't be easy," George warned, his tone serious. "Veronica and her supporters won't go down without a fight. They'll use every trick in the book to discredit you, to maintain their power. Are you prepared for that?" Zara took a deep breath, her resolve strengthening. "Mr. Harrington, I never set out to start a revolution. I just wanted to be accepted for who I am, to be with the man I love without constant judgment and prejudice. But if my actions tonight can lead to positive change, then yes, I'm prepared to face whatever comes." Ryan squeezed Zara's hand, a gesture of support and solidarity. "We're in this together," he affirmed. George nodded approvingly. "Good, because you're going to need each other. The road ahead won't be easy, but I believe it's necessary. Our society has been stagnant for too long, clinging to outdated notions of class and worth. It's time for fresh perspectives, for a more inclusive approach." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card, handing it to Zara. "Take some time to process everything that's happened tonight. When you're ready to take the next step, give me a call. I'll arrange a meeting with some like-minded individuals who can help support your cause." As George excused himself and walked away, Zara and Ryan stood in stunned silence, the weight of his words settling over them. They had come to the gala expecting a confrontation with Veronica, but they hadn't anticipated gaining such a powerful ally. Alex, who had been watching the exchange from a distance, rejoined them. "What was that all about?" he asked, curiosity evident in his voice. Ryan turned to his friend, a mix of excitement and apprehension in his eyes. "I think we just found our first allies in what's about to become a much bigger fight." Zara nodded, her fingers tracing the edges of George's business card. "This isn't just about us anymore," she said softly. "We have a chance to make real change, to challenge the very foundations of this society." As the three friends stood there, the last remnants of the gala fading around them, they knew that this night had been just the beginning. The battle lines had been drawn, unexpected alliances had formed, and the stage was set for a conflict that would shake New York's high society to its core. As the gala came to a close, Veronica Chase found herself alone in a secluded corner of the venue. The bustling sounds of departing guests and clinking glasses faded into the background as she grappled with the night's events. Her carefully constructed world had been shaken to its core, and for the first time in years, she felt vulnerable and exposed. Veronica's hands trembled slightly as she reached for her phone, scrolling through the contacts list. She needed allies, people she could trust to help her weather this storm. As she dialed a number, her mind raced with potential strategies to regain control of the situation. Meanwhile, Ryan and Zara, still processing their conversation with George Harrington, decided to step out onto one of the venue's balconies for some fresh air and privacy. The New York skyline stretched out before them, a glittering tapestry of lights against the night sky. Ryan turned to Zara, his expression a mix of pride and concern. "You were incredible tonight," he said softly. "But I can't help worrying about what comes next. My mother, she won't let this go easily." Zara nodded, her eyes reflecting the determination that had carried her through the evening. "I know. But Ryan, we can't back down now. This is bigger than just us. It's about challenging a system that's been unfair for far too long." As they talked, Alex approached, his face serious. "Hey guys, I hate to interrupt, but I think you should know something." He glanced around to ensure they were alone before continuing. "I overheard some of your mom's friends, Ryan. They're planning something. I couldn't catch all the details, but it sounded like they're going to try to dig up dirt on Zara and her family." Ryan's jaw clenched, anger flashing in his eyes. I can't believe they'd stoop so low. Actually, no. I can believe it. That's exactly the kind of tactic my mother would approve of. Zara placed a calming hand on Ryan's arm. We knew this wouldn't be easy. If they want to investigate me and my family, let them. We have nothing to hide. Back inside, Veronica had retreated to a private room, surrounded by her closest confidants. Patricia Astor paced the floor, her face flushed with indignation. This is outrageous, Veronica. We can't let that girl and her sob story undermine everything we've built. Veronica's eyes were cold as she looked up at her friend. Of course not, Patricia. Do you think I've maintained my position in this society for so long by rolling over at the first sign of trouble? She paused, a calculated smile spreading across her face. No, we're going to fight back, and we're going to start by finding out everything we can about Miss Zara Williams and her supposedly wealthy family. As Veronica outlined her plan to her eager listeners, she felt a flicker of her old confidence returning. She had faced challenges before and always came out on top. This time would be no different. Unaware of the schemes being hatched against them, Zara, Ryan, and Alex continued their conversation on the balcony. The weight of the evening's events was beginning to settle on them, along with the realization that their lives had irrevocably changed. You know, Alex said, breaking a moment of contemplative silence. When I decided to come clean about my adoption tonight, I never imagined it would be part of something this big. But I'm glad I did it. It feels liberating. Zara smiled at him, a look of understanding passing between them. That's exactly how I felt when I finally stood up to Veronica. It's like a weight has been lifted. Ryan, who had been quiet for a while, finally spoke up. I just want you both to know that I'm with you in this, 100%. Whatever my mother and her cronies try to throw at us, we'll face it together. As the three friends stood there, united in their resolve, they were unaware that they were being watched. In the shadows of a nearby doorway, Harold Vanderbilt observed the young trio with a mixture of admiration and concern. He had seen many challenges to the established order over the years, but something about this felt different. These young people, with their idealism and determination, might just have what it takes to bring about real change. Harold made a mental note to reach out to some of his own contacts. If Veronica was rallying her troops, it was only fair that the other side had some support as well. The old man smiled to himself as he slipped away unnoticed. The coming days promised to be interesting indeed. As the last of the gala's guests departed and the cleaning crew began their work, the grand ballroom that had witnessed such drama earlier in the evening now stood quiet. But the ripples of what had transpired here would soon spread throughout New York's high society, setting the stage for a conflict that would challenge long-held beliefs and potentially reshape the social landscape. Zara, Ryan, and Alex left the venue together, stepping out into the cool night air. As they waited for their car, Zara looked up at the stars barely visible through the city's light pollution. Whatever happens next, she said softly, we're not just fighting for ourselves anymore. We're fighting for everyone who's ever been made to feel like they don't belong. Ryan and Alex nodded in agreement. As their car arrived and they prepared to head home, each of them knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges. But for tonight, they had struck a blow for change, and that was enough. The days following the charity gala were a whirlwind of activity and emotion for all involved. The confrontation between Zara and Veronica had become the talk of New York's high society, with opinions sharply divided on the matter. Veronica Chase, driven by a mix of anger and desperation, threw herself into damage control mode. She called in favors, hired private investigators, and worked tirelessly to discredit Zara and maintain her own social standing. In her luxurious home office, Veronica pored over reports and made countless phone calls, her determination bordering on obsession. As she hung up from yet another call, Veronica leaned back in her chair, her eyes falling on a framed photo on her desk. It was an old picture, showing a much younger Veronica standing next to a handsome man who wasn't Ryan's father. For a brief moment, her carefully maintained facade cracked, revealing a flicker of vulnerability. "What would you think of me now, James?" she whispered to the photo. "How did I become this person?" Meanwhile, Zara and Ryan were facing their own challenges. True to Alex's warning, rumors and insinuations about Zara's background began to circulate. Some questioned the legitimacy of her family's wealth, while others spread gossip about her intentions with Ryan. Despite the pressure, the couple remained united. They spent long hours discussing their future and strategizing with their growing circle of supporters. George Harrington had been true to his word, introducing them to influential individuals who were eager for change in their social circles. One evening, as they sat in Ryan's apartment reviewing their plans, Zara noticed Ryan seemed distracted. "What's on your mind?" she asked gently. Ryan sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I just can't shake this feeling about my mother. I know she's wrong in how she's acting, but she's still my mom, you know? I can't help wondering if there's more to her story than we know." Zara nodded understandingly. "Your mother is a complex woman, Ryan. Maybe it's time we tried to understand her, rather than just fight against her." As if on cue, Ryan's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. His eyes widened as he read the message aloud. "If you want to understand your mother, meet me at the old boathouse in Central Park tomorrow at noon. Come alone." The next day, with Zara's encouragement, Ryan made his way to the designated meeting spot. To his surprise, he found Harold Vanderbilt waiting for him. "I'm glad you came, my boy," Harold said, gesturing for Ryan to sit beside him on a weathered bench. "There's something you need to know about your mother." Over the next hour, Harold revealed a story that shook Ryan to his core. Years ago, before she married Ryan's father, Veronica had been in love with a man from a working-class background, the man in the photo on her desk. Despite her family's objections, Veronica had been prepared to leave her privileged life behind for love. But societal pressures and her own fears eventually led her to choose status over happiness. "Your mother hardened her heart after that," Harold explained. "She threw herself into maintaining her social position, as if to justify her choice. But I've known Veronica for a long time, and I've seen the toll it's taken on her." Ryan sat in stunned silence, processing this new information. Suddenly, his mother's actions, while still not excusable, became more understandable. Armed with this knowledge, Ryan made a decision. He called Zara and asked her to meet him at his mother's house. It was time for a real conversation. When they arrived, they found Veronica alone in her study, looking tired and defeated. The sight of her son and Zara together seemed to reignite her anger, but before she could speak, Ryan held up a hand. "Mom, we need to talk," he said firmly. "About James." Veronica's face paled at the name. "How do you—" "It doesn't matter," Ryan interrupted. "What matters is that I understand now. You're not just fighting against Zara and me. You're fighting against the choice you made all those years ago." Tears welled up in Veronica's eyes, her carefully constructed walls beginning to crumble. "You don't understand," she whispered. "Then help us understand," Zara said gently, stepping forward. "Mrs. Chase, we're not here to judge you. We're here because we want to find a way forward, together." For a moment, the room was silent. Then, slowly, haltingly, Veronica began to speak. She told them about James, about the love she had given up, about the regrets she had buried deep inside herself for years. As Veronica's story unfolded, a new understanding began to form between the three of them. The battle lines that had been so clearly drawn began to blur, replaced by a shared recognition of the complexities of love choice, and societal expectations. By the end of the night, nothing was fully resolved, but a foundation for reconciliation had been laid. Veronica, exhausted but somehow lighter, agreed to meet with Zara and Ryan again, this time with open minds and open hearts. As Zara and Ryan left the Chase mansion, they knew that the road ahead would still be challenging. Changing deeply ingrained societal norms wouldn't happen overnight, but they had taken a crucial first step, not in defeating an enemy, but in understanding and potentially healing a wounded soul. The New York skyline glittered before them as they drove home, a reminder of the world they were trying to change. But now, that change felt less like a revolution and more like an evolution, a chance for healing, growth, and a more inclusive future for all.